Greetings, basic networking students. Today I was kind of fascinated by something. I went to the internet, to this particular webpage called the Internet Mapping Project. And it's a pretty simple little idea. The concept is you create your map of the internet, or from your perspective, of how the internet connects to your home. And so if you look through this, you can kind of see various different people's view of the internet, basically. So as we take a look at this, you'll see many people just kind of have a non-technical view of the internet, and most of these are kind of funny. Actually, if you just spend a few minutes and go through them, you'll see some people have some really creative ways to look at the internet, and most of them are kind of philosophical. And a lot of them are based on services like Flickr or Instagram or Facebook or Google or YouTube. So a lot of it, the world of the internet is based on that. So I started thinking as I was doing this, well, if I were to draw one of these, what would I draw? Well, I'm a propeller head, so I'd probably, I'd start drawing it. I'm going to go ahead and grab my little white notepad here, and I'm going to start drawing this. So what would I do? Well, first off, I'd start to think about this. Well, I know that I have a computer, right? So I'll just start over here somewhere. I don't know. I'll start right here. So I have this. Give me 1 minute while I fix a problem. There we go. All right. Hopefully that's fixed. All right, so I have my computer, so I'm just going to draw as best as I can. I'm a very poor whiteboard drawer person. But so here's my computer, and I'll put a little PC there. Yeah, there you go. So here's my computer. And there we go. So I have a computer here, and I'm not using a laptop today. I'm using a Dell all-in-one machine. And so anyway, I know that right now this machine has a cable coming out of the back of it that connects into the back of this little router device. Now I'm not going to make this complicated. I'm going to stick to what probably a lot of you have at your houses. So I have this thing, and Verizon provided this to me. So Verizon. And this Verizon box, then, if I looked at it, it has, my cable goes into the back into one of these ports, and it has another cable that runs up to this device that I have on my wall, and I've been told that this device is called an ONT. ONT. And this device basically has a fiber connection running somewhere out there. And I don't know that out there at this point. So this is somewhere in Verizon world. Okay. But I know that this is fiber. And I know that this is category 5E, and this is category 5E UTP cable, or unshielded twisted pair cable. So I'm looking at that. So this is what I can map out physically, or what I can see right now. But that doesn't really answer the question, does it? So what is the internet compared to where I'm at? So I gotta kind of figure this out now. So I have this computer that's connected here, and I understand that. So I'm taking a look. Well, let me see. What can I do? So I can go to. I'm going to go ahead and look at my network connections in Windows, and here's that Ethernet connection. The Wi-Fi is disabled, so I have this Ethernet connection. So I'm gonna, and here's my Ethernet controller. So I'm going to right-click on this guy, and I'm going to go to Properties. And here I can see a whole bunch of stuff, a bunch of protocols. And in here, I will find, you know, I just don't know. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting and complex. It's like, how do I connect to the internet? Well, I use this protocol called Internet Protocol version 4. So I'm going to click on properties there, and that's going to bring up this box. And right now, this has been set to obtain an IP address automatically. So that's interesting. So let's take a look at this from a different perspective. So another perspective would be to say that my computer now has an Ethernet connect. It has this. So I'm gonna diagram this down here. So I have this physical connection, this category 5E cable. And that cable is what's connected me to the back of this Verizon box. But I'm also using this Ethernet controller, Ethernet. So I have this Ethernet network card, or this controller, that connects to that Category 5 cable. And I've just learned that bound to that Ethernet controller is this protocol called IP, or actually it was called TCP IP version 4. So these are kind of 3 elements then that my computer has for the internet. So that's interesting. So let's go ahead and take a look then. I'm going to take a look at, if I can, I'm going to open up a command prompt. There we go. So I have a command prompt now, and I'm going to type ipconfig. There we go. So I can see right here that I have an IP version 4 address right there. Do you see that? So looking at this stack now, looking at this stack that I was describing here. So I have an IP address right now on my machine of 192.168.1.3. So that's an address of sorts right here. And then I can see here there's a thing called a default gateway. Well, the default gateway in this case is the Verizon router. So the Verizon router right here, I'll just draw a little arrow up here. This guy has an IP address of 192.168.1.1. So it seems to me that part of the internet, from my perspective, is that my home machine, my computer, and I'll just draw it again over here so we have a little cleaner diagram. My computer connects to the internet, to this Verizon router thing, via the IP protocol, and my machine has 192.168.1.3, and the Verizon router has 192.168.1.1. So it seems to me that they should be able to talk. So going back to the command prompt, I'm going to type ping, which is a utility. And I'm going to type 192.168.1.1, and I'm going to ping that. And sure enough, I can ping, and I get a reply from that Verizon router. So I'm able to connect to him on an IP level. Now, that takes care of this IP level here, but what about this Ethernet level? Let's take a little closer look at this. I'm going to type ipconfig /ALL, and it scrolls up a little bit. So I'm gonna scroll this command prompt back up, and I'm going to take a little closer look at more details here. So I did ipconfig all. Here we are, and I noticed something. I noticed that on my Ethernet adapter, I have a physical address, and the address is written right there. Do you see that? So, interestingly enough, that physical address is what is called my MAC address, and that's called MAC address, or media access control address. And this is what we refer to as the Ethernet address. Even though it says physical address, it's actually an address assigned by the Ethernet, well, the Ethernet protocol, if you will. Calling it the Ethernet protocol is a little ambiguous, but we'll talk more about that later. But I have a MAC address, so I'm going to write that down. 5C. So my address is 5C F9 DD, and I'm going to erase my Mac thing here. Actually, what I'll do is, this is a real trick. I'll just copy it, and then I will move it. Oh, look at that. Modern technology right there, boy. So DD, E0, FE, 0, 1. Wow, there you go. Wow. So pretty interesting. Pretty interesting detail there. So and then I have, obviously, this connects. So there we go. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to go back here and look. Now, when I ping that Verizon router, something very interesting happens. So we're going to take a look at that. I'm going to type this program called ARP, Address Resolution Protocol -A, and I'm going to take a look at this list. Do I see my Verizon router in there? Yeah, I do. I see it's 192.168.1.1. Aha! So my Verizon router now also has a MAC address. Do you see that? So it's F8. So my Verizon router's MAC address is F8 E4 FB 8B 72 F3. So there's my MAC address on my Verizon router. So it seems to me that the Ethernet protocol, right, is able to establish communication at the Ethernet or the physical level, and then the IP address establishes communication at the logical level. So really interesting. So my computer then, in order to get to the internet, finds out through this protocol called ARP, finds out what the MAC address of my Verizon router is. It finds out what the MAC is. Once it gets the MAC back, I'm now able to establish a communication between the computer and the router. Now I'm able to send an IP packet with the MAC address of the Verizon router to the Verizon router. And then I kind of hope that the Verizon router will know what to do with it, right? It'll forward it on and do its magic, and it'll come back to me. Interestingly. So that's an interesting map, right? So my computer connects to the Verizon router and utilizes these protocols to do so. Interesting. I'm going to develop this more as we go. I'm going to keep thinking about this, and we're going to keep developing this. Now, my map doesn't look as pretty or as philosophical as what you saw up there, but this is interesting. Let's keep going with this. I'll talk to you more later. Thanks. Bye.